a lot of us, and I've done it in the past, and we get to the month of Ramadan and we're like, it's only 2 months away.
Yeah.
And we get closer and closer and closer. And then when Ramadan starts, that's when the moment we kind of gear ourselves up, like, as from tomorrow we're going to start fasting. As tomorrow I'm going to pray more. As tomorrow we're going to learn the Quran more, right?
Yeah.
Should this be the way, or should we prepare well in advance? What's your take on that?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah. Jazakallah khair for having me, Brother Shah. Yeah, so that's such an important topic, so I'm happy that, alhamdulillah, you thought of me to discuss about this preparing for Ramadan and health-related topics. And
Sure.
so, yeah, Ramadan, without a doubt, is so important. I think everyone will agree with that, all the Muslims. And it is so important as well to understand how to approach it. I think more than anything, how to prepare for something is really important. Just like anything in life, really. If you want to do the actual exam, there's preparation.
Yes.
If you want to do the actual, let's say, some sort of athletic event, you want to have the preparation and the training. So same thing with Ramadan. Now, yes, Ramadan is fasting. Without going into the evidences, obviously we have ulama
Sure.
who have mentioned the usual stuff, and we all had that before. The one advice I would give, in the sense that how to prepare for Ramadan, from my experience and from looking at some of the pious predecessors, how they would do it.
Sure.
So is obviously, like you said yourself already, about preparing in advance. And since it is about fasting, I think we should start fasting in advance as well.
Yes.
The reason being is because one of the things that we've realized, and I think a lot of health experts would say the same as well, is the fact that when Muslims fast, we tend to fast Ramadan, which is an obligation, which is good, but then because we don't fast all year round, and then all of a sudden we're fasting in Ramadan, our body kind of takes a shock.
Yes.
And that's just is a bit logical as well. So one of the ways to not have that shock to our body, subhanAllah, there is sunnah fast as well,
Yes.
which we should be doing. We should be trying our best to do,
Yes.
which is the usual Mondays and
Monday,
Thursdays
Thursdays,
fast. Especially in these countries, there's like in the winter time, the days are so short.
Yes.
So we should be maximizing rewards on that and helping our health and lifestyle, incorporating fasting in our lives, in our day-to-day lives. And one of the benefits that we'll do is, obviously, we know a lot of people are doing intermittent fasting now, and it's purely because of the health benefit that it has. One of the main things, and there's numerous things. We do it for the sake of Allah, for the sake of the sunnah, for the sake of the reward. However, the health benefits it's amazing because it detoxes the organs.
Yes.
One of the natural ways to detox the organs is good for our health, it's good for our well-being, it's good for the blood circulation, a lot of things. I mean, there's a whole literature on net that could be widely available.
Yeah, there is.
Like you said, without going into the virtues are amazing as well. We should be doing it for the sake of, our intention should be for the sake of Allah and His Sunnah.
Yes.
And obviously we have a right upon our bodies as well. And obviously Allah will ask us that question, that's Allah accept it from us. So one of the ways to prepare, akhi, in a nutshell, is to start preparing beforehand. Since it is about fasting, we should start trying fasting already.
Right.
So we're in the month of Rajab.
Yes.
Rajab is the month of Allah. Obviously, there's virtues in that as well. We should be starting to practice fasting now,
Yes.
as we're speaking. And then Sha'aban, obviously, we know Rasulullah Sallallahu used to fast the most in Sha'aban. And obviously, it's like being ready for Ramadan, which is the obligation, which we don't have an excuse. We should be fasting, unless obviously we're excused.
Absolutely. Helping us understand sugar. What does it do to the body if you eat too much sugar?
So again, from the research that I've done, and I think this research is widely available. I think what it is, in and of itself, when we're fasting, fasting obviously is got amazing benefits, right?
Yes.
But one of the things we do wrong is obviously the way we approach it, which we talked about preparation beforehand, so that our body doesn't get a shock. The other thing is, whilst in Ramadan, whilst fasting, I don't think you don't need to be a genius and even doctor to know this, but having excess amount of, whether it's oily food, you have problems there, the cholesterol and this and that. If you're having a lot of sugar, again, there's problems there as well, especially talking about our, ethnic kind of people, our background, subcontinent people, they suffer from diabetes a lot. So it's like giving that sugar spike and stuff like that. What I will say is, obviously, it's better to turn to a professional and speak more in that sense. However, what I would say is the fact that the key to anything in life is, especially when it comes down to our health, our life, Ramadan fasting, and all these things, ikhlas, the sincerity and doing it consistently and doing it in a balanced mode. I mean, this is from the deen as well.
Sure.
We can see Rasul, the way he would break his fast with the date and stuff like that, and having water, and then it's like, it's like when his sunnah is not to overeat.
Yes.
So these things I'm just mentioning,
Yeah.
obviously we're not scholars, but scholars have mentioned this so many times. So, Allah gives us tawfiq not to do that, inshallah. And the other thing is the fact that, we shouldn't be indulging and giving into temptation and desire. Because one of the etiquettes or one of the virtues of fast is it helps us if you can control your desires.
Yes.
If you can fast, if you can control your hunger,
Yeah.
then you can control other desires. And if
Yes.
especially if we're fasting for the sake of gaining the utmost benefit of taqwa, with taqwa, obviously we be God conscious with every aspects of life, not just our spiritually about that. I'm talking about our physical body, our health, our life and well-being. So I know I went on a bit, but it's with anything, whether it's sugar, oil, whatever, I think we should definitely limit it. We should definitely have it because we know naturally it's a bad thing.
Yes.
It's not a good thing. And obviously our body has a right of us. We will be accountable on the day of judgment and ask about that as well. So, in a nutshell, the answer would be the fact that we should balance everything, especially these things that we know is bad for us.
Yes, absolutely. My next subject, which is hijama.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, Brother Mohammed Haq here, he's a qualified practitioner in hijama. What is, we hear the word hijama and probably it's not very common. It's an underrated form of therapy. Well, what is hijama exactly?
So hijama comes from the word hajam. Scholars explain it like that, right? It's like a suction, because the hijama was sucking certain pressure points of the body, and then basically, so you have the two types. You have the dry cupping and the wet cupping. The Chinese folks do, a lot of the dry cupping.
Yeah.
Our sunnah hijama is basically when we literally do the dry cupping and then we do the wet one. Wet one is basically where you make small incisions and then basically you get the surface blood out. And so that's what hijama is. Again, in terms of virtues and evidences, alhamdulillah, people can sit down with scholars. We're not scholars. They can give so many proofs and evidences, and there is numerous evidences regarding this. Within your question, there was a part where you said, yes, it was once a time taboo, but I think, alhamdulillah, it's really, really on the growth now.
Yes.
So when I first heard of it back in 2000, 2006 to be precise, and I got more into it into 2015. So basically, what I've seen is there is a high demand in this and growth in this, and a lot of athletics, A-listers, a lot of celebrities are engaging in this, and some of the athletes have said the benefits that they found. Again, the data on the internet or any sources, you can find so much internet research on this and information on this, and I think the experts are finding out more stuff about it as well. So how it is good for detoxifying the blood, so detoxing the blood. It's good for blood pressure patients have benefit from it. Diabetes patients have benefit from it. People with aches and pains, arthritis. So there's a whole list of things that it helps. But again, saying that, I think it's like each person has individual objective and target, and they have a different sort of lifestyle and whatnot. So a practitioner would, inshallah, look into that as well, how their lifestyle is and whatnot, and then basically what would the best method be for them, because one of the things to do hijama, you can't just do it nilly-willy anyhow. There's certain precautions that you have to take before and after.
Sure.
We call it pre-hijama and post-hijama, certain aspects that you have to abide by, like for example avoiding meat, avoiding dairy and stuff like that. Fasting beforehand as well. So we're talking about a few hours, 3 hours minimum, they say, the experts. So there's a lot of stuff about it. Alhamdulillah, it is on the growth. From when I first heard about it, it was not as well known. But now, alhamdulillah, it is on the growth. Alhamdulillah, a lot of people know it's a sunnah. Alhamdulillah, a lot of people are delving into it. Alhamdulillah, a lot of people are trying to practice it. But at the same time, like you said as well, to some of us, it still is not. It's still a taboo subject, so it's good to inshallah delve into it, inshallah, and revive it.
And before we go any further, that Brother Mohammed Haq, you mentioned that we're not medical experts.
No, we're not.
All right, and this is just general advice before taking any kind of life-changing decisions in terms of diet, health. Do consult your GP or specialist, because your actual health could be something individual. You may have an underlying health problem, which basically then can tell you if it's right for you or not. Especially in our Asian subcontinent, where we have a high level of high blood pressure, diabetes. These are common within the ethnicities. So the reason why I'm asking you these questions is, would it be a good idea, amongst obviously changing the diet, making yourself more healthier, to incorporate, let's say, a session of hijama. And again, hijama is not a one-shot treatment, is it? It's not something that I can get it done today and I'll live better for the rest of my life. It's like a therapy, going through it. Maybe some people do it once a month, once every 2 months. Would that be a good idea to incorporate before Ramadan, would you say?
Yes, it definitely would be. However, I think going back to what you said about one of your friends, like how I like to give more practical advice. So one thing would be like, I know a lot of people are horrified by the concept of hijama.
Oh, yes.
It does sound like horrific, but really and truly, there's like, it's not as painful as it looks. It's not at all painful. Hence why people, are more and more coming into it. The other thing is doing it to detoxify your blood, to have that, mindset of, I want to go into Ramadan, doing these therapies and then helping my body. And then, like I said, fasting, incorporating fasting, intermittent fasting, whether you're doing like, let's say 8 hours today, the next day 9 hours, the next day 10 hours, and building yourself up for Ramadan so that you don't struggle at all. Hijama could be used to detoxify the blood as well.
Yes.
Which in turn, some of the effects after post-hijama that people have felt is amazing. It's like they said they get good sleep.
Yeah.
They say they're not lethargic, they're not lazy, they're not weak, they don't feel tired, fatigued. So that would be really good, because then you're going into Ramadan with energy and a boost.
Yes.
And obviously it does boost your immune system as well. So like I said, there's many benefits.
Absolutely.
Brothers and sisters can do some research and they can find so much. I think there's so much literature on this, and I think it's going to be more and more coming as well, because more experts are delving into this, especially the professionals and the athletes are doing it a lot. I'm sure the scientists will be looking into it more, and giving out more. Our main thing should be the fact that it's mentioned by Allah and His Messenger, and they can sit down, our audience can sit down with the scholars and go through the virtues and the evidences. But if Allah and the Messenger said something to us, we should just take it on board. And we know it's always going to be good for us and nothing bad for us. Fasting is another key example. Hijama is another key example. We see a lot of non-Muslims delving into this and doing this a lot.
Yeah, it's very common, because a very proven method is now coming into trend. You see it in a lot of magazines, like all these celebrities now have all these weird marks on their back, like what is that? And people are following these celebrities because they've done it and it's helped them. It's, people are taking that trend on, but as I say, it's been there for many thousands of years. And there are a lot of practitioners just like yourself as well. And I'm one of those people that I came across hijama, kind of like curious about it, not knowing what it is, and I thought one day I'll just go for it. And I'm telling you, once I got it done, I felt like $1 million. That's what I felt like. And I started doing it every so often, every few months. Funny enough, one of my friends, I was trying to convince him, if you're watching this video, right, you owe me a massive thanks, right? He was one of them that didn't really believe in hijama. He saw me get it done. He goes, what is that? And I told him how it feels and stuff. And I think he got put off by the fact that, there's some cutting involved and blood involved. And then he really started complaining about his back problems and he's getting less sleep. So I said, look, do me a favor. Come along with me. I'm going to pay for you, right? It's on me. So I took him there. He got the hijama out. They did the massage beforehand, obviously, to circulate the blood and stuff like that. So he had it done. When he came out of the hijama, obviously, he was a bit lightheaded, as some people get, because, all the nasty bad blood has come out. And obviously, it's refreshing, right? And sometimes I actually I fell asleep during my hijama. It was so relaxing.
It's so relaxing.
I had the Quran playing and the brother was doing the massage. That literally wakes me up. So he came out and he didn't want to admit that it helped him because he felt good. About 6 months later, you know what he says to me?
He wants to do it again.
Bro, you got that number for that hijama guy? I'm like, you liked it, huh? So this is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We go to all these different shops and we take all these supplements and medicines. We see something on the TV, like a vitality and this and that. But what we don't realize is that all these other stuff that's added to it, that are bulking agents, for example, that is actually harming our kidneys, harming our liver. Why not go the natural way?
Is the fact that if Allah and His Messenger have said something to us, we know there's bound to be ni'mah, barakah, blessing in that. So we should have that. We should always rectify intention in the sense that, inshallah, we're doing this for the sake of Allah and His Messenger's sunnah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And in that we would find shifa. And some of these mentioned. So you mentioned honey. There is evidences about, and obviously scholars have delved into some of these amazing prophetic medicines and medicines from the Quran. Honey's being obviously mentioned, one of them. In the bellies of the bees, is a cure. so you have honey, you have hijama, you have fasting, you have black seed, and
Black seed oil,
many things, right? So what I'm trying to say is, if Allah and His Messenger have said something, the Muslims, the mu'min, the believers, should believe in that and should incorporate that in their lifestyle. I'm not saying to obviously go OTT.
No,
One
yeah.
of the sunnah is to have a balance.
Sure.
It's not. No one's saying to have like a whole jar of honey a day and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No one's saying to have hijama every
No,
day.
no,
You
no,
can't
no,
anyway.
no.
So there is a balance. If you want to do something, you do it properly. Just like
Balance,
fasting,
yes.
yeah, you do fasting according to how the Sharia tells us to.
Sure.
And then basically, we can't fast every day as well. There are days where you can't fast.
Yes.
So I think that the point is, going back into the subject of honey and hijama and fasting, I think these are amazing ni'mah given to us by Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we should incorporate that in our life, and we should be balanced with it as well,
Absolutely.
not go a bit OTT.
No.
So and there are cure in it, so we should have that yaqeen
Absolutely.
and have that. Funny you mentioned honey though, because I should mention the most of the honey out there is not.
Yeah.
It's not the real deal honey. You know, if you know what I'm talking
You're
about.
absolutely right,
You
Papa.
wanna get the pure honey that we're talking about here. That's not been processed or,
Sure.
or added syrup and this and that and whatnot.
Yeah.
Raw organic honey. You know, if you know someone's extracted it,
Mm-hmm.
tasting that honey, it just felt different. Just like you said about
Yeah.
having hijama done, you do feel it.
Yes.
Whether someone denies it or not, it does do amazing wonders. You know.
Yeah.
Same thing with having honey, pure honey, raw organic honey. Same thing as having black seed.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the other mentioned sunnah as well that the ulama have mentioned, that, like olive oil and stuff like that. So I think we try our best. One of the practical solutions or practical advice I can give to myself and to brothers and sisters is the fact that we should incorporate all these things in ourselves, like practically, gradually. That's one of the best ways, actually. Like, just like you said about your friend, about how he's trying to like sort of delay his meals just to get used to Ramadan.
Yes.
Another amazing practical thing would be to be around brothers, or for the sisters to be around sisters, and to motivate one another. Because in Ramadan it's so easy because you have that motivation. You have a mass motivation. The whole unity of the ummah. And inshallah, the ummah is amazing at this, and we know that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the ummah should be united on these aspects of the deen that is from Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that should be our greatest intention and understanding.
Absolutely. I think that was the word I was looking for, motivation, and brother just put that word right in. It's like having that motivation during that time.
Yeah.
Obviously,
It's key.
you're more glued onto it. Where there's not a motivation, it's a bit harder.
It is much harder,
I think you actually gave me a lesson
Yeah.
by saying be around other people that will give you motivation.
Yeah.
And inshallah, I'll try my level best as well.
So I'm sure everyone's got friends that
Yeah.
are probably already fasting Mondays and Thursdays.
Sure.
Ayyamul Bid, the 3 white days,
Mm-hmm.
full moon days, the 13th, 14th, 15th, everything. So these are one of the ways to get preparation for the actual Ramadan fast. And so it really is about being practical in yourself,
Yeah.
doing practical stuff that you can do, gain motivation from brothers, sisters, getting motivation from family members, doing practical stuff together.
Sure.
And inshallah, building your way up from there.
Yeah.
Inshallah, and obviously some of the stuff we mentioned is obviously fasting, being a good diet as well. That
Mm-hmm.
goes a long way. Doing therapies like hijama,
Yes.
and obviously having these other cure mentioned from the Quran and Sunnah with this
Sure.
honey or black seed or so on and so on.
Absolutely. Can I ask you one personal question?
Yeah, go for it.
What would be, everyone has their individual goals during
Yeah,
Ramadan,
yeah,
right? What is your goal during Ramadan?
I think
Could be anything, not
it
just
could be
diet.
anything.
Yeah.
So this Ramadan, I'll be honest with you. I think because we know that Ramadan should be about taqwa, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's God consciousness. I think we all have, and I think this is a message that really needs to be heard by a lot of brothers and sisters, which is we all are in testing times.
Yes.
And there's a lot of tests going on. And one of the things that I hope for the ummah to achieve in this Ramadan, and for myself first and foremost, is to basically start fresh, be a better believer every day, from now onwards. Ask for much forgiveness as possible, because we all, have wronged
Yeah.
ourselves or one another.
Absolutely.
To be united in terms of family, friends, the global ummah. So these are some of the stuffs that I want to achieve from this Ramadan, and I've been trying this for ever since I started practicing, to have these goals and objectives in mind.
Alhamdulillah.
But this particular Ramadan might be a bit challenging for me, and I ask the audience to make dua for my mum, especially because I think this Ramadan is going to be a challenging Ramadan for my mum. She's elderly, so most of my Ramadan will be serving her. So I hope Allah accepts that from me. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. So that would be my Ramadan for this time around.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.